far away, right? And they don't really want to engage here, right? So when this happens, my focus tends to switch to this leg over here, right? So what we can do, right, is we can do this from either a regular half guard or from the shin shield, right? What I want to do is I want to start diving underneath and hooking onto this leg here, right? But the issue is I also want to be able to frame him away. So if I just come in here like haphazardly and try and hook this leg, well, yeah, what ends up happening is we get cross-faced a whole bunch and then we get squished and we're not going to be able to pull this up. So as I come underneath here, I want to maintain the ability to frame away from him, right? This shin shield does a lot for me, but this elbow also does a lot here where I can use my elbow to keep him from coming in and effectively cross-facing, right? Once I get my gable grip here, right, this is where I can kind of decide what I'm going to do, right? If I can, I like to be able to pull this leg all the way through so it doesn't get in the way as I come and invert underneath, right? Because sometimes, go back a sec, right? Sometimes we'll come in here, right? And we can do this, but my leg gets caught. It's not the end of the world. I can still finish the move, right? And get my leg out at a later date. But, you know, if I've got the space and I can get this over, right, this makes it a lot easier to get my butt up into the air, right? So while I'm here, I'm still actively making sure that he's not able to cross-face me, right? But what I want, right, before this happens is I want to pick my butt up into the air and I want to use a butt frame to keep him away, right? So I'm going to use this leg to push away on his hip in order to get my butt up, right? And we're already really starting to focus on this leg here. Let's do a rotate other way. Right? Here, not great. Right? We're still vulnerable to being cross-faced a whole bunch. But once I get here, now it's a really far distance for him to come down and grab my head with anything. Right? And I can decide whether or not I want to roll him this way or if I want to pull him this way. I find that one of the easier things to do is to pull him this way if we can get a hold of this foot, right? So in order to make him roll the way that I want, what I want to do is I want to start pulling his foot up so that, you know, with his leg at a 90-degree angle, we have a good lever over his hip rotation here. So I can just pull this until he cooperates. If he just lays down here, right, I could lock up this heel hook here. But most people are gonna not just flop, and then we'll roll up into this sort of position here. And here, I can either keep his foot on the side of my head, control the heel, and start working my knee bar, or I can start turning my hips towards him until I'm into this little honey hole position where I can grab his leg and do leg lace things, right? Other option is I can also push my way up to the top into my knee bar position. So we're here, we've got his hip locked in with the shin shield if you want, right? Making sure that he can't come in and cross face me, all right? But I wanna dive under here, and you'll notice I'm using both my knee and my elbow to keep him framed up, all right? So he can't come and squish me here, right? If I have the space, I can pull this through and get my hip up here. All right, now I'm gonna reach down. There's gonna be a little gap between his ankle and the floor here because that's how legs are, all right? I'm gonna be able to grab his big toe and I'm just gonna crank this sucker up and over. If he stays like this, right, we can just go ahead and load up this heel hook here, right? But he's probably going to rotate through, right? And once we get here, if I can control the far leg and pull this over, I've got a nice leg lace. Okay? Or I can start attacking this guy. If we can't get the leg up to the other side, we can still make the same transition here, right? I'm still going to bring my hips up and over, but you'll notice my foot is caught, right? Either I can sometimes just pop it out here, which is fine, but sometimes it gets stuck. That's fine. I can still make this rotation happen. We finish here, or be ready for him to roll all the way through, and that'll bring our leg lace, which is nice. All right, so let's say I'm not feeling confident to bring my hips up and over here. Maybe he's providing a little bit too much weight, so I can't go through this space here. So what I want to do is I want to use my knee, my left knee in this case, my top knee, to really push him away, right? And as I do that, I want to scoop my butt underneath his hips, and this foot is going to be a little butterfly. I'm going to hide my foot here, because the issue is, if I just let this dangle here, he's probably going to toe hold me. And I don't like that. It hurts a lot. So, right, as I make this transition, this foot, I got to hide it, right? And now, this foot comes, and I'm in my single leg X. All right, so here we can kind of decide what we want to do, right? It's a good position. All right, from here we can just push him away, start trying to come up here, all right, or whatever single leg X thing that you like to do. So we do our grip here, right? If he's being heavy, right, I can use my knee to push him away, and I'm going to hide my foot. Right, and I usually come up into the single leg X because I like to have this foot here able to push him away to make sure he can't come into my space here. Right? If we want, we can start looking at toe holds here, which is nice. There are heel hooks. I don't like them as much though. Another option that I like is once we're in the single leg X, I can actually go ahead and drop this foot down for my reverse X guard and use this to start gathering up his far leg. And I can put him into a leg lace on this side, which is fun. I think my favorite thing out of this move set is this. Reaching down and grabbing this foot, right? Because he's gonna want to turn his hips. Because if he doesn't, we're gonna crank the crap out of his knee. Right? We've got a lot of lateral pressure here. All right, so if he stays tight, it's going to be it could possibly damage his knee here. All right, it's basically a heel hook. All right, but if we can use that to turn his hips over, we're in a good position to start setting up things. All right, this is a good secure position here. A quick submission that you could do that Rich does to me a lot is you'll just grab this foot and start pushing down here, which is really nice. All right, but we can pull this up and get our figure four. We're gonna have a lot of power over here, where I can actually rotate his heel as well as pushing down, applying force to the ankle. The other direction is also interesting, right? So when you get here, sometimes it's not ideal to try and turn them this way, right? If their weight is really heavy, like driving into me here, it's going to be hard for us to force him towards that direction. So the other alternative, right, is to go the other way, right? So I'm going to rotate my hips up and over, and I'll end up right back in my little honey hole position here. So we get here, right? My goal is going to be to go face down here and make this transition happen. All right, I'm going to keep my gable grip nice and tight here until my butt hits the mat. And then here I can decide where I want to go, right? If I want to push myself up and start attacking this knee bar series, that's a good option. All right? If I want to bump my hips out and start coming to this honey hole, that's a good idea. What I don't want to do is hang out with my butt on the mat just next to him here, right? Because this is the point where people will start grabbing your head, pulling you in, and making it difficult for you to do anything like really effective, right? So once I get here, I need to make a choice. Do I want to go to leg lace, or do I want to go on top and start U-barring, right? So if we want to go on top, we'll just roll our hips up here, right? And then we can start breaking down his defense. But what can be very difficult is this transition here, right? Because my face is in the way. So what I tend to do is I try and go on the top of my forehead here so that I'm not just like grinding my face into the mat. Right? So when we come up to my head, and I'm trying to collapse him over his shin. Alright, so I'm just going to let this roll. And from here, I'm trying to keep my knee underneath his leg here. Right? What I do not want is for him to be able to swim underneath here. This is very annoying. This is the start of his defense and escape. So I'm going to try and keep my legs hidden underneath here. And by keeping him hidden, he's not going to be able to attack them. If he manages, instead of like get this over to the far side of his hip, he's going to start thinking about heel hook or toe hold options. So while I'm attacking, I need to make sure that my legs stay safe. I'm going to keep them behind his leg, right? And I can actually use this to help gather up his far leg here. So if his leg is too far away to grab for whatever reason, right, I can use my left leg to pull it in and start securing it here. And now once I get my leg lace here, we're good to go. So kind of depending on how your partner responds to your first initial grab is going to determine where you end up going, right? If they're kind of leaning away from you, it's going to be easier to grab that toe and turn their hip over. If they're driving into you, it'll be easier to turn face down. Alright, so here he's far away. I feel like this is going to be the easiest thing. Alright. Elevate. Let this leg gather up behind his knee. Turn his hips over. I swear I'm forgetting something. It's fine. Other option is the toe hold. Here we have like heel hook options here, but I find that the outside heel hook is not as good as the inside. Outside being we're making contact with the pinky toe here, right? When we set up this heel hook. The issue with this, with the outside heel hook, is that his ankle is going to be involved, right? So there's an extra degree of flexibility that is in the outside heel hook that doesn't exist in the inside heel hook. Now, that doesn't mean we won't be able to finish it, but it does add another variable, right? And sometimes we can mitigate those variables by really being tight on the ankle here, right? Rich likes to tell me to put the toes in the bicep here, and then we can take all the tension, or we can put the ankle under tension, right? We can take all the slack out of the ankle before trying to apply force to the knee, right? So that's one way to mitigate that problem, right? But I find that it's just easier, for me at least, to just control and get a figure four and just toe hold here. Now with a toe hold, we can still get very similar knee damage, right, as we would for the outside heel hook, right? Because with a toe hold, although like technically we say that it is an ankle lock, right? Because we're applying force to this joint here, right? But once we get to the toe hold here, right? If I can pull on his heel while I apply downward pressure to his ankle, right? That twisting force is gonna find its way to his knee, right? So be very careful when you are being toe held, right, in this manner, because you know you might be thinking, does my ankle hurt, does my ankle hurt, does my ankle hurt, and then your knee explodes, and that's not good, right? So you want to monitor the pressure on both your knee and your ankle while this is happening to you, right? And similarly, like, make sure that you're not just cranking the crap out of your partner's knee if you can avoid it, right? Because we don't want to damage our training partners, right? But this is a good option here, setting his pinky toe in our bicep here, and really pushing that in. All right, and now we can get the heel hook going. All right, other option here, I can scoop his ankle here, all right? And if I rotate my hips and control his heel, I can set myself into a nice knee bar. Right? The purpose of putting the foot underneath the face, right? He's going to want to try and rotate his leg to escape the pressure here, right? He wants to turn and like hide his heel and start coming up here. Yes, thank you, come back. Right, so in order to prevent his leg from rotating, right, we can put something in the way of his foot. Right, so that's going to stop his foot from being able to rotate in this direction. Right, so I have my face, my head, my neck, whatever. Right, controlling his toes here. Right, where I keep his foot on the bottom of my face, and my heel, I want to grab, or my hand, I want to grab his heel. Right, I see a lot of people when they do this for the first time, they're like grabbing down here, or they're like double hugging, which isn't like terrible, but you know, we lose a lot of the rotational control that we have over the leg, right? If we try and hug. Same with an armbar, right? If I try and armbar someone like this, if they know how to hitchhike or escape, they're gonna, I have really no way to stop him from rotating out here, right? So by grabbing the heel and pulling it, right, I can make sure that he doesn't feel like he has an opportunity to rotate out of it, right? So we're looking to have rotational control over the leg. My feet, right? I'm looking to bite down on his hip as much as I can, right? This will help drive my hips into his knee, right? And keep me locked into the position here, right? Still pinching my knees, and now I can drive, right? And then from here, again, we still have the ability to rotate back into our honey hole-ish position, right? So ideally, you want to be comfortable going in between and back and forth between these positions here, right? Where we're in the honey hole or the leg lace, right? And able to transition back and forth. So over. Yeah. That's not gonna happen. That feels good. Yeah. So I can either pull myself under and go here, or pull myself